And finally, I'd like to talk about a matter that I know a number of my colleagues have spoken about, issues that have arisen over the summer months in the state of Tasmania, and that is the bushfires. And I know all of my Labor, Green, Independent and, of course, Liberal colleagues have expressed their condolences to those who've, and sympathies rather, to those who've had losses, sustained losses during this awful period of time. But what I want to remark on is the community resilience. The resilience that's been demonstrated by those who have been affected by these devastating fires and how quickly they took hold in our community. But the response, the resilience, as I say, was something that I was certainly astounded by. At its peak, there are around 70 fires burning across the state of Tasmania, many of them started by the dry lightning storm that passed through on the 15th of January. And we've seen over 200,000 hectares of land affected by these fires. Now, that ranges from productive land, forestry plantations, farmland, through to wilderness reserves and the like, which is, of course, a devastating thing. Most concerning, of course, in the Huon community, we've seen the Tarhoon airwalk infrastructure damaged, which will have a major impact on that community. 80,000 visitors every year to the Tarhoon area, which is in the Huon Valley, which now won't be attracting visitors, and so we need to work hard to ensure that we support that community as it rebuilds. I want to pay tribute to those who've battled the fires in our state. Terrible conditions, windy, hot, dry conditions, and we have over 5,000 volunteer fireys in the state of Tasmania who've contributed to the firefighting effort. People who've taken time out of their holidays with their families, time away from work, to ensure that our communities are safe and that they protect those things that need protecting, namely life and, of course, our community assets and property. Alongside the paid staff from the Tas Fire Service and Sustainable Timber Tasmania and the Parks and Wildlife Service, they've done a great job in managing the devastating impact of the fire. It was wonderful to see the interstate support that our state received in the bushfires and indeed support from New Zealand in terms of personnel on the ground. More heartening, of course, was the fact that we saw Tasmanians in their thousands donating to support those who had been displaced by these events, people who had to evacuate the communities they live in and leave behind their homes. And thankfully, the damage to property was not extensive. Having said that, though, it is always very, very saddening to hear that anyone loses part or all of their home, which sadly was the case for a number of families in Tasmania. But seeing our community band together in these tough times, like when I went to the Medina community briefing, a community that faced threat for an extended period of time with the Gel River fire in the Derwent Valley, to talk firsthand to the locals about the impending threat coming to them, the support they were providing one another, the cooperation with government agencies was a wonderful thing to see. Now, though, it's the time for us to support, as I alluded to before, those communities that were affected. People were, tourists in particular, told to steer clear of these regions that had been affected by bushfires. Talking with the manager of the former manager of the Waterfalls Cafe in Mountfield National Park, Rachel Power, they lost a huge amount of business as a result of the evacuation orders. Visitors stopped coming there. Talking to the team at the Derwent Valley Information Centre in New Norfolk, the number of people coming through that area have dropped off markedly compared to previous years. And so my message, and I'm sure my Tasmanian colleagues would join with me in this, is to get back into these communities, support these businesses, support the restaurants, the cafes, the shops in these communities that were affected in the Huon, the Central Highlands and the Derwent Valley, and spend money. We need to support these regional communities, both as a government but also as individuals. Tourism in these areas is critical to these economies. As we head into winter, which of course is the season where things do slow down, these communities are going to need support. And so by visiting these communities, calling into the shops that are open for business, that are ready to trade again, will be a wonderful thing. So I urge all of my colleagues from right across Australia, come to Tassie, spend a few dollars in the Huon, in the Central Highlands, in the Derwent Valley and support those who are affected. Thank you.